high up in the Chaparral Mountains, outside of San Diego. I arrived by car in the middle of the night and was greeted by a Zen monk who had been waiting for me in the forecourt. On seeing me, he placed his hands together in a prayer-like gesture, and he smiled whilst looking straight into my eyes. He then bowed gracefully and returned his gaze back to me and said, "Welcome, Marc. We've been waiting for you. Come with me." He took one of my pieces of luggage and led me down a winding pathway surrounded by bamboo that was lit only by the light of the full moon. We passed through a gate with a sign that said, "Monastics only," until we arrived at the main door of the building, where the monk kindly asked me to remove my shoes. He slowly led me down a low-lit hallway, and I couldn't help but notice how silent it was. I matched his slow walking pace with mine, and noticed how I was starting to feel at ease inside myself. We arrived at another door with a sign that read in Zen calligraphy, "Peace is every step." The monk turned to me and whispered, "Please come in," and as we entered the room, I could see books filling shelves across the walls with desks and chairs arranged in the middle. The monk said, "You'll have to stay in our library tonight. Many members of the public are here for a 2-week mindfulness retreat, and we can't find any spare beds or rooms. Sorry for the inconvenience, but we will be able to find you a bed tomorrow. You can use this sleeping bag and these meditation mats to lie on." He continued, "We usually wake up here at 5 a.m., and there'll be sitting meditation at 6, followed by sutra reading, touching the earth, and slow walking. Breakfast will be served at 7:30 a.m., and the Dharma talk by Thich Nhat Hanh starts at 9. I'll see you tomorrow." With that, he bowed his head once again, placed his hands together, wished me good night, and left the room. I took a moment to cast my eye over the bookshelves, and a handful of book titles by Thich Nhat Hanh jumped out at me. "The Miracle of Mindfulness," read one. "True Love, a Practice for Awakening the Heart," read another. "Old Path, White Clouds, Walking in the Footsteps of the Buddha." "Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm." "Anger, Wisdom for Cooling the Flames." "Love Letter to Earth." And another, "The Heart of Understanding." There were so many books that I couldn't take them all in, and my jet lag was starting to kick in from my 16-hour journey from the UK. My knowledge about Thich Nhat Hanh was limited, and I was beginning to feel slightly overwhelmed. But in this moment, all I needed to do was to fall asleep. Day 1. The following morning, I woke up late. It was nearly 10 a.m. and I'd overslept. I suddenly remembered that Thich Nhat Hanh's talk started at 9. I was already an hour late, and I started to panic. I got dressed, hurried out of the library, and ran along the hallway of the monastic residence. As soon as I opened the door of the building, I was struck by the bright Californian sunlight and the blue skies. A mountain range covered in green oak and lilac groves surrounded me. I found my shoes, and I frantically put them on and headed in a direction that I hoped would lead me to the meditation hall. There was no one around to ask for directions, because everyone was in Thich Nhat Hanh's Dharma talk. I soon found signs directing me there, and as I hurriedly walked in that direction, I could feel the rocks in the mountains vibrating an energy of solidity and presence. It felt ancient, and it started to ground me, and I then noticed the humidity and the pungent smell of white sage wafting in the air. The pathway led me to the top of a stone staircase with panoramic views of the valley. It was silent, and as I descended, each step made me come back to myself, and I started to slow right down. There must have been about 300 steps overall, and by the time I reached the bottom, I felt at ease. The perfect conditions, I thought, before meeting this famous Zen master, Thich Nhat Hanh. Seeing Thich Nhat Hanh. I carefully opened up the back door of the hall and was confronted by a sea of several hundred people sitting on meditation cushions. I took my shoes off, stepped into the hall, and weaved my way through the small gaps between the silent members of